We support illegal immigration. Let's talk about that. Legal immigration versus legal immigration. I honestly feel like this whole concept of, legal immigration versus illegal immigration is so fucked up because at the end of the day, like, every person, every immigrant that has ever stepped foot into this country is considered undocumented, or as you guys like to call it, illegal. So for simplicity's sake, we're gonna name the legal immigrants immigrant citizens, and the illegal immigrants non-citizen immigrants. Capiche? Good. Here we go. Once an immigrant steps into this country for the very first time, they are considered undocumented, illegal. So some immigrants still need to try to find their pathway to citizenship, and the pathway to citizenship can take quite amount of time. And being a documented immigrant just means you'll have the same amount of rights as, everyday US-born American citizens. Some of these benefits include SNAP, voting, healthcare, that stuff. Now, what about all of the non-citizen immigrants? Well, some of them are actually here to, work and then later go back to their own country. And, some are just there to, visit the country, and some of them are also there for, school, even though our education system is a bit fucked up. So some of these non-citizen immigrants are on visas, and if they stay for a little while, then they might want to consider becoming, immigrant citizens. But I feel like you're basing the whole illegal immigrants thing on crime, which, fun fact, undocumented migrants, per 100,000, only 319 were incarcerated of crimes. With legal, U.S. citizen immigrants, that number goes up to 613. But even both legal and illegal, immigrants combined don't even match up to U.S. citizens, where the number per 100,000 is 1,121. And if the immigrant were to do crimes, we just send them to, jail. If there were crimes committed in this country, we send them to, U.S. jails. But if they, broke their visas, then yeah, they're sent back to their own country. If they came to this country on, with a criminal record, then yeah, they are arrested at the airport and sent back to their country. Which now brings up the interesting question of, Melania Trump and Elon Musk, since they both came here on, visas. Melania Trump came to this country on a tourist visa. However, she decided to later work under the late Jeffrey Epstein, which working was not part of her visa. So technically, she's an illegal immigrant, even though she has, U.S. citizenship. Meanwhile, Elon Musk immigrated from South Africa to Canada and then later from Canada to the United States on a student visa, but then he later, dropped out of school, which cannot do a student visa, and then he also opened a business, which, of course, you also cannot do in a visa. Forces asked him whether he broke the terms of his agreement, he would have said no, because if he would have said yes, he would have been deported. And yet he has U.S. citizenship. What weird times we live in, right? So there's just a couple examples. So what about all the, immigrants that, ICE is arresting? Well, some of them are actually U.S.-born citizens. Some of them are, legal immigrants with U.S. citizenship, or should I say, immigrant citizens. And even if the people that were being unfairly arrested, were, non-citizen immigrants, the non-citizen immigrants still have due process. I mean, Amendments 5 and 14 allow for that due process to happen to anybody in the U.S. And I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm saying that's the Supreme Court's official ruling. Now, of course, I could talk on for longer, but I think I coached long enough. I don't want to burn this dish. So, there you go. That is the whole concept of legal versus illegal immigration debunked. My name is Enemy Receptor Pumpkin. Be sure to give me a follow on my socials. Otherwise, you won't see my face again. Have a good day.